What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast. My name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and if you are listening to this podcast, thank you very much, and keep listening right where you are, or you can listen on Spotify, Apple, Podbean, or YouTube, and you can find me at chris.rickenbaugh on Instagram and TikTok to be able to listen to me, so that is chris.reichen.bach. So, if you haven't listened to this podcast before, my name is Chris Rickenbaugh, as I mentioned, and I am documenting my journey in real estate and business, and also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. We have some really cool trips. We're planning going to Cartagena, Colombia for my wife's birthday here soon, and planning out our honeymoon. So that's going to be a really big trip. So definitely the biggest trip I've ever taken, going out to Dubai, the Maldives, and then we're going to hit another country somewhere in there, probably Spain or Paris or something like that. But that'll all be for another episode. Today, I want to talk about how I'm buying my next flip with $0 out of pocket. So if you're looking for all the numbers and the details about what we're doing to the house, that is not this episode. It will be the next one. It'll be 143, but this is episode 142. And I'm just going to be breaking down a lot of what private money is, because that is how we are closing on this house. So I'm using a combination of hard money and private money, so let's break down those two. So if you go back about 20 episodes or so, you'll see my interview with Matt Miller, who is a hard money lender. So we are using a combination of the hard money to be able to fund the purchase price and the renovation of the project, and we're doing that through a company called Lone Mountain Capital. So if you're in one of the states that they lend, they're great and easy to work with. Reach out and I can shoot you my guys' information to where you can be able to get a hard money loan for them to be able to buy your next flip project or BRRRR or whatever you're doing. So doing the hard money loan with them, so they're able to give me really good terms. So we're doing so they're funding the full purchase price of $260,000, and then they're funding the renovation costs as well. So, you know, with all their fees, I end up coming to the table with right around $50,000. So that's the $50,000 is what I have to come to the table with. So, you know, obviously I don't have that sitting in my bank account. You know, we have a lot of money out right now on flips. So what I do is I go into my network and I say, hey, I just got this flip under contract. We're set to close this date. Here's the numbers. Here's how it looks. Here's how you're going to be able to, you know, get your investment back. I'm looking for $50,000 at a 15% rate. And then, you know, you go into your network. Hey, do you know if you or someone else you know is interested in investing? So we go from there. So it's a lot. This is going to be mainly about private lending and private money, because that is how I'm buying my next flip with $0 out of pocket. I'm putting no earnest money down, and I'm funding and I'm buying the project with the combination of the hard money, and then I have to bring the $50,000 of the private money to the table to be able to close. So, you know, how do you fund a deal like that? How do you find a private lender? So that is going to be the topic. So private money is as easy. You know, there's some people that advertise like they're, you know, I'm a private money lender. So they're kind of something along the lines of hard money. It's just not like a business or institutionalized. It's somebody that's, you know, pooling money together and going out and lending, and they call it private money. So you flock to them. But real private money, I would say, is, you know, going to, you know, that neighbor or that person you know in your family and saying, hey, I got this flip under contract. Are you willing to loan me, you know, just for this example, $40,000 to be able to, you know, close on this house, for a real estate example? And this can be anybody. This money can come from anywhere. So this is money that's sitting in a savings account earning 2 or 3% interest at a bank. They're not getting a great return. It's just kind of sitting there. It's in a 401k, a Roth IRA, or something like that is earning a small return that you're able to say, hey, well, if this is only earning, 2 or 3% over the entire year, what would you think about investing that money with me at a 15% return in 6 months? So that catches their attention because for one of my deals here, and I had an investor lend me $40,000 at a 15% return in 6 months. So they're going to earn $6,000 within 6 months or less. And if I go over that amount, there's penalties towards me to where I have to pay them $100 or $50 a day. They're getting their money back, and their money is secured by the asset, which is going to be that property. So in the worst case scenario, they're able to take control of that property if I'm not willing or able to pay back that loan. So they're very safe and secure, but their security comes from me running the numbers. So I can show them based on my calculators all of the expenses throughout the entire flip. I can break that down for them and make it sure it's a very safe and secure loan. So that person I'm going to, it's like, hey, are you interested in investing for a 15% return within 6 months? And let's just say they say yes. So in this example, they're willing to loan me $40,000 at a 15% return in 6 months. So what we do is we write a promissory note, and then, if they're willing to go the extra step, we had that with another one of my investors. They say, hey, we need a deed of trust to be able to secure this promissory note to secure their money. I say, okay, no problem. I go to the closing attorney and say, hey, I need a deed of trust, and we give them all the information. So it's like name, address, and really that's it. And they're able to secure that person's money through the deed of trust, adding them in what's called a second position loan. So just quick on position. So the first position is normally going to be the hard money lender because they want to be first position. So first position means they're the first person to get paid back when the property is sold. Good, bad, ugly. They're the first person to get paid back. And then the second position, it's pretty simple. They're the second person. So before anybody is paid, before any money leaves the table, those two people get paid back, and then whatever is left goes to me. So that's understanding the positions. But as for a private lender, if you're interested in being a private lender, this is how it typically works. Or this is how I've done it. There's plenty of different ways. There's books about it, like Lend to Live. I think that's a Bigger Pockets book to get detail. But, if you're talking to, your friend, neighbor, family, and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. In my certain situation, I'm saying, hey, I am flipping houses. This is about the range that I'm closing houses on. So we're within that 40 to 50,000 range most of the time, to where I can say, hey, if you have, this is how much this is the percentage I'm giving out. So I'm doing 15% right now. I'm a little bit newer into it. And before, it's just a little bit more attractive. I think people are doing like 10, 11, or 12%, where I'm like, hey, 15 on 40 grand for me. That's not anything crazy. So it's like, okay, I can do that. It's because 12%, let's say at 40,000, that's not too much of a difference. Yes, it is money, but it's like I would just rather round it up, make an even number for you, and be able to give you a little bit more, because you're going to be willing to be investing more in me when you get your money back. So for this example, I go to friend, neighbor, family, whoever, and say, hey, I need this $40,000 to be able to close on this house. Are you or someone interested in investing? So they have that $40,000 sitting somewhere, bank account, savings, Roth IRA, let's see, what's the other one? 401k. They have that sitting somewhere earning a very small return. They're saying, yeah, I'm willing to get a 15% return rather than 2 or 3% sitting in the savings account. And that is normally where you can get a private lender from. It can be anybody and anywhere across the street. So if you are someone who has that money sitting in that account, there's definitely different options for you. So you can, look for these opportunities. If you're interested in investing in real estate, just seeing how it goes, that's definitely an opportunity. And that's what I do with my investors. So I just wanted to be able to break down quickly, or I guess I got a little long-winded there, but it's very simple. And that's how I'm buying my next flip with $0 out of my pocket, because what I did was I found the house, I got it under contract for $0 on earnest money, and then I secured the purchase, or not secured, but I'm going to be buying the house with a combination of hard money, which is going to be funding the purchase price up to a certain percentage, and then the renovation costs. And there's then based off their percentages, this is what I need to bring to the table, and that's $50,000. So for this $50,000, I'm going to somebody I know, someone in my network that has that extra $50,000, earning a small return or looking to invest. And I say, hey, I can give you that 15% return. They say, great. We sign a promissory note or a deed of trust. And then they wire the funds to me, we buy the property, renovate it, and then when we sell, they get paid their money back with that 15% return. So it's as simple as that. I took a long time to get there. Sorry about that, but that is how I'm doing it. So if you're interested in the actual project where I'm doing this, you can tune in on Friday for episode 143 for all the breakdown on the numbers, exactly what we're doing to it, and how this is looking like a really, really good flip. So thank you for tuning into this episode. I will see you on Friday. This is Chris Rickenbaugh signing off for the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, episode 142.